Plan Commission meeting for Thursday, August 9, 2018 is called to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Secretary, please take the roll.
Commissioner Blanova.
Here.
Commissioner Creech.
Present.
Commissioner Dorban.
I'm here.
Commissioner Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Kalis.
Hello.
Commissioner Powers is here, and Chairman Rafato.
Here. Brooke, any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
And citizen concerns and comments, we have none this evening, so we'll go right to our items. Consent items, docket number SCBA 18-34, Sprint, 1538 Lake Cook Road, appearance approval of a wall sign. Commissioner Creech, you had a question, I believe?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was wondering if we could put a condition on the sign that, on this particular, and actually on all the future signs, when they are replacing a sign, that the facade gets repaired and that it's all the same color, or at least where the new store is going to be.
We do try to monitor that. And
I know, but
require that
prior
at permit.
to the installation of the sign, can we make that a condition going forward on all the signs? You know, even with the new ones, we wouldn't have a problem with that because, of course, everything's going to be new before they put up the sign. But all these, so that they're replacing it, just like the boxing center next to it, they repaired that area, but, you know, half of those panels are different colors.
So how do we address that, Brooke? Because it's been an ongoing problem.
It's very difficult for us to have the entire shopping center repainted.
Well, no, but I mean,
But
like the
otherwise,
hair
there's
cuttery, that one section, you know, at least they cut it off from panel to panel,
right.
whereas
So-
the
Well, every time
kickboxing
they
didn't.
change a sign and they paint it, it's often a slightly different color.
Well, that's okay, just as long as that is all the same color in front of that store.
So if we had a general condition on consent items that indicated that it had to be painted or maintenance done on the signs before, maybe before we issue the permit for the sign. It seems to be, and you know, it's chronic. Maybe it's chronic in just one shopping center, but we've got to be able to hold the feet to the fire of these folks. And what if we put a condition on just those consent items? Can we do that?
I mean, yeah, you can, I guess you could have that as a standing condition for all
Right.
signs, and then as long as the petitioner knows that prior to it going on consent, then you can still have that on consent with a condition.
Yep.
It's more of when things get pulled off and the petitioner isn't aware of them is
I
the
understand.
issues of pulling things off consent and, you know, voting on them that night. But if they know it in advance and we know it's going to be a standing condition going forward, then I don't see any problem with that and still putting signs on consent.
Well, then, Mallory, could you just validate that moving forward?
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, thank you, you're welcome.
Can I ask one more question then related to that? Can we make that for poles too, pole mounted signs? If the pole needs to be redone, we do it there too?
Let's try this first.
Okay.
Let's go down this path first. We don't see too many pole-mounted signs. We see more of these signs. But it's incumbent upon us, if we want to pull something off the consent agenda, it's incumbent on us to get that to Brooke and staff, you know, Tuesday before the meeting and pull it off and let them come and explain that to us. That's easy enough. So we have a motion. Do we have a motion on docket SCBA 18-34?
So moved. Second.
A motion by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Creech. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorban?
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis?
Yes.
Commissioner Powers votes yes, and Chairman Rafato?
Yes. Thank you. Items for review, docket number 2018-18. Lana's Dazzling Desserts, 321 East Dundee Roads. Special use site plan approval for expansion of an existing restaurant. Mr. Secretary.
Docket number 2018-18, Lana Colburn, lessee, is seeking special use site plan approval as required under Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-06, Commercial Districts, Chapter 19-10, Use Regulations, Chapter 19-12, Site Plan Approval Requirements and associated sections in order to expand the existing restaurant at 321 East Dundee Road into 333 East Dundee Road, which is Zone B3 General Commercial and Office District. Standards for a special use. A zoning special use is defined in Title 19 of the Village of Wheeling zoning as a use of a parcel of land that requires review and consideration before approval due to circumstances or effects on the surrounding properties that may adversely affect them. In order to be considered for a special use, the petitioner is required to demonstrate through testimony to the Plan Commission at the public hearing why their request meets the conditions of the village code, including but not limited to how the proposed use will not damage the enjoyment or use of the surrounding properties. Prior to the public hearing, the petitioner provides written statements meant to show that the request for a special use meets the standards established in Title 19. The commission chairperson will typically direct that these statements be entered into the record without a full reading of them at the hearing. Based upon the testimony and supporting materials submitted, the Plan Commission will make findings in support of or against the petitioner's testimony and report those findings to the village board. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Brooke, anything to add?
Just that the staff report and submittals of the petitioner are part of the public record.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Please come forward. Hello. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth? Yes?
Yes.
Thank you. I need something verbal. Yes. If you could give your name and your business address, please?
Lana Colburn, it's 321 East Dundee Road, Wheeling.
Great. So the floor is yours to explain what you will be doing.
We're gonna be expanding to next door space.
Okay.
Basically, making our business double in size.
Anything else to add?
Well, we making kitchen significantly bigger, and we gonna make our cafe site just a little bit bigger. So we had 12 seats, and now we're gonna have 19, planning to have 19 seats in our cafe area.
Great.
So that's the plan.
Okay. Anything else? No.
Ask me a question.
We will get to that. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this matter? No? Okay, great. Thank you. So we'll start with Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. Well, I think it's great that you're doing so well that you need to expand. That's wonderful news.
Thank you.
I really have no other questions other than that you're aware of the conditions that staff has recommended as far as the bicycle rack and the smoking area.
If it comes to me, I don't want to have any smoking area. Oh, I must?
Well, smoking is allowed outside, obviously.
So how should we?
So the smoking area has not been designated for probably that whole
The whole shopping center doesn't have
Right.
designated smoking area.
Exactly. So how do we handle that, Brooke, Mallory?
So,
If you're going to speak, you have to come forward. I have to swear you in. Sir? Right hand, do you swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
Yes.
And your name?
Leon Kobrin.
Okay, so you're related?
Yes. I'm related for 37 years.
Okay, good.
Happily related.
Yeah, okay. So, you were going to say something?
Yeah, right now we have a sign in the window indicating that no smoking allowed within
50
15 feet.
feet, I
and
believe.
that's how we maintain it right now. So
What else should we do?
any additional efforts needs to be done, or?
It's up to the plan commission if you want to have because it's a shopping center, if you want to have them install additional signage.
Well, I guess if they have signage,
And this doesn't really fall into like the cafes and the bars and
Right.
things like that.
They might not have a lot of customers that
Right,
smoke,
and-
and that's up to your
and-
discretion.
And
Basically, to explain to you, the whole idea to have cafe area for us, it is to provide sweet table tasting or wedding tasting. We, on regular basis, we don't have much customers.
okay.
I mean,
It is, people come, people come, pick up custom-made cakes, desserts. So that's what it is.
I would suggest taking that condition off then.
Okay.
That's all, sir.
So what about this bicycle rack? I didn't see any bicycle racks on the plaza at all. So only our shop will have bicycle rack? And who's supposed to provide, us or landlord, how it works?
So this is a regulation that has come into existence probably since you've been, since you've
Moved in.
opened a
Okay.
while ago. And so every time there's a new special use or an amendment to a special use, the Plan Commission wants to bring you up to code. So it's something that you can work with the property owner on, finding a place that would be convenient for several of the businesses, because there's maybe not necessarily right next to your property.
Yeah.
A location.
I'll talk to my landlord.
Well,
Okay.
they've got that striped area in this picture here that would probably suit.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
It might
You
be
know,
tight.
This is handicapped parking there.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
So
I didn't
I
see the
think
other
it's a
part.
matter of working with your landlord and staff.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't expect it in front of your building, there's probably not room there, but somewhere on the property, that it could be used not only by you, but by other people.
Makes sense.
Right.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Is that it?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Thank you. To add a little comment about the bicycle rack, the stores that, whoever's leasing a property there right now, it's a jewelry store, a clothing store, I think they have a nail salon or barber shop, something like that.
Yes.
And there are not that many people riding a bicycle there to that area. So probably that's why they didn't even have it before. I'm not sure if it's even necessary there, but I mean, it's up to code then, I guess.
It is code and it's part of our transportation.
And then I have another question. Who would address that shingles on that 333? So it looks like it's a different color. It looks like something, maybe there was a sign there, maybe
Yeah.
you repaired.
Oh.
Right,
can
there was
see it.
probably a sign removed, and so it has a different wear.
And it's going that way, right?
It's ironic that Commissioner Creech just brought that up, so yeah, it's,
But we're not putting up a sign.
yeah, but the maintenance is, do we want to have them?
So, that's a good point. Let's get that fixed.
You know, the way the shingles done, they are natural. I think the
that's
time will take care of itself.
Yeah, but there's a hole there.
Hold?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a hole.
Because of the previous sign,
You
there's a
can't
hole.
see it, you can't see it in the picture that's up there,
Okay.
but there's
Yeah,
a
the hole,
hole,
yeah.
there's a hole in the, that needs to be repaired.
It's probably something you want to just ask the owner, your landlord, to,
Actually, tell the owner?
yeah, tell, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Other than that, that's great. That's great. Thank you so much.
Commissioner Powers?
Thanks for expansion, and I really have nothing else.
Commissioner Dorban.
If you have not been to Lana's, you need to go. It's wonderful. And I totally understand why you need the expansion. I'm thrilled that you're expanding. I'm thrilled you're staying here. And thank you very much.
Commissioner Kalis.
Thank you very much. Same, excited, proud of you for growing and supporting our community that much more. And I have no questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Creech.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Congratulations from me as well, and thank you for staying in Wheeling.
That's right.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
And I have nothing. I mean, it's a great addition, and good luck in the future. So we have a couple of conditions.
The first condition is prior to occupancy, a rack for 2 bicycles shall be added to the site. And the second, prior to occupancy, the mansard roof facade shall be repaired as needed.
Yep, okay. That's great. So do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Dorban, second by Commissioner Blanova. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Dorban?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis?
Yes.
Commissioner Powers votes yes, and Chairman Rafato?
Yes. Motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
You'll have some, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. You'll have something to sign, and then you're free to leave.
Okay, should I come?
Up here? Yep. You can sign these two right there. Yep, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You ready? Calling docket number 2018-19, Karma Pub, 79 South Milwaukee Avenue, special use site plan approval of a tavern. Mr. Secretary.
Docket number 2018-19, sorry about this, Shalish Desai contract lessee is seeking special use site plan approval as required under Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-06, Commercial Districts, Chapter 19-10, User Regulations, Chapter 19-12, Site Plan Approval Requirements and associated sections in order to establish a tavern at 79 South Milwaukee Avenue, which is zoned B3 General Commercial and Office District. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Brooke, anything to add?
Yes, I'd like to note that the staff reports and submittals of the petitioner are part of the public record.
Thank you. Is the petitioner here? Thank you. Please raise your right hand. Will you be the only one speaking tonight?
Yes,
Okay. Do you swear the testimony you give tonight to be the truth?
yes.
Thank you. So can we have your name and business address, please?
Yeah, my name is Shailesh Desai. The name of the business is Karma Pub,
And the address?
79 South Milwaukee.
Okay, great. So the floor is yours to explain what you're proposing for this?
I would like to open up the neighborhood bar with the gaming, one more, space for the town. People can mingle, socialize, talk each other. It creates a more employment opportunity for the town. Always it brings a tax dollar to the town too.
Okay. So can you explain what you're going to be providing in this space?
Yes, I will do the DJ karaoke, and I'm gonna have the light snacks for the customers besides the bar.
Okay. Is that all that you have to add?
Yes, we have the jukebox and pool table in the space also, and we can do the pool league and dart league.
All right. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on this matter? No? Okay, thank you. So we will start with Commissioner Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I see in your packet that you're, well, at least in the staff report, it shows that you're going to be applying for a Class CV liquor license. So I'd like to know from staff, what are the rules behind it as far as seating capacity and stuff like that? Do we know?
I can pull it up in a sec. We don't usually look, I mean, the liquor licensing is usually done by the.
Because I'm concerned about.
I don't believe there's a minimum
I don't think.
or
there's a
maximum.
minimum for Tavern.
I don't believe there's a minimum or a maximum seating under the liquor licensing for the CV license.
Okay. I kind of like, if that's the case, if that's what it is, that's what it is. I kind of like to know for sure, but if that's what you're saying, I mean, I have to believe.
Attorney Maluzzi will verify
Great.
that.
There's also a comment about reduction in seating and requesting a parking variation to proceed with the special use review. Where are we with that? How many seats are you planning to have in there? Because it was kind of like a discrepancy, so I'm trying to figure out how many actual seats are you going to have in your establishment, and then how many employees are you going to have?
I have one employee each shift. Is going to be 2 shifts from 11 to 6 and 6 to close. So one employee each time going to be there. And according to my plan, I think I have 20 total sitting. But if it comes to the variation of parking and zone, I will agree to reduce the sitting.
So he would need to reduce it by 2 so that there's a maximum of 18 seats without a variation.
So that's what we need to come up with now. That's the agreement we need to come up with now, so we don't have to go any further, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it would be a
Okay.
condition to the special use. And just to follow up, there is, under the liquor licensing code, there is no maximum or minimum seating for taverns for Class C licenses.
Okay, appreciate that, thank you. Let's see. Can you explain to me, you did mention DJ and other talents. I guess that's the thing too. So you said with the Class CV license, there is no minimum or maximum amount of people that can come in there? I mean, I'm a little bit confused between the 18 seats and then, let's say, if they have DJs. So, I mean, like, if they had a good DJ or karaoke, they could have like 30, 40 people go in there, no problem, and we wouldn't have to worry about parking? Or is the parking based on the seats and not anticipation, like number of people that are going to be in the establishment?
I mean,
So the parking code is specific to taverns, so I think it accommodates or expects, not everyone necessarily being in the seats. As far as DJs or anyone else standing, that would be a fire code maximum occupancy level issue versus parking. The parking code is determined based on seats. So they could have 18 seats, but there could be more than 18 people in there.
And under this type of use, that would be, there wouldn't be an issue, is that right? Because the seats and the parking are there, and if more people wanted to come for an hour or two, they could do that, and that would be all, all legal and all that, right?
Assuming that they don't exceed the occupancy limit
Okay.
of the establishment.
Okay. I guess this docket also has the same condition with smoking area and bike parking. I assume you're going to work with staff with that. You do have, I was looking, it
Well,
looks.
in actuality, though, this is probably more important.
Exactly.
Than, so we shouldn't gloss that one over, the
Right, I mean,
smoking.
So I mean, I think something in general needs to happen, maybe with the whole center, to come up with something. If, we're going to continue to keep usage like this, somehow I think something needs to be worked out with smoking and bike parking. I don't know. At some point.
I'm more concerned about, well, both of them, but
Yeah, I agree, more this one, exactly, so.
So what is, to Commissioner Powers' point, what is on either side of this storefront that you have?
We don't have a bike, what are you talking about, the bike
What-
parking in the back of the area. We have the,
In this particular location that you're proposing to move in, what type of businesses reside on either side of you? Do you know?
my next is also empty. There
Okay.
was some massage, and the other side, there was a jewelry store, I believe.
So they're both vacant right now?
Yeah, it's a vacant. So there is nobody on the both side right now.
And this isn't and I am familiar with the shopping, the center itself, but is this in a different part of the area of the shopping center?
The back of the shopping center.
Back of the
Yes.
Okay, so somehow I think we need to get bike parking and smoking area addressed for this particular docket also.
Yes.
I was looking, you also have other locations that you run the same type of business, correct?
Yes.
Do they all have, are they all considered taverns with gaming and seating?
Yeah, I'm in the bar business for over 15 years before the gaming. And right now, currently, I have 5 locations. All are in Lake County, which is in a Round Lake.
And I did see some pictures in our packet.
Yes,
Are
yes,
those?
I do have with me in case if you want to see.
No,
some.
I mean, I've seen them, but are those pictures that I saw, those are of other locations that you have? So that is it your idea that the setup for this location would kind of be set up as your other existing ones?
Similar kind of, little bit, yes.
Okay.
Because it's a bar, so obviously they have a jukebox, they have a pool table, they have a bar stool, bar
Right.
counter, all the alcohol. So, yes.
And it would be, obviously, it would be 21 and over, right?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Always.
I mean, I'm not certain that's a concern of ours, 21 or over.
Right, no, that's fine.
But
For the
I-
liquor
I-
license.
no, I don't think a liquor license.
Yes,
I don't know, a tavern, you have to be 21. to
21
go-
and over.
21 and over.
Really, the only other thing I have to ask is the hours closing at 1 and 2 a.m. Does the liquor license they get have hours, like closing hours attached to it at all? I was just kind of curious. Because they're going to be open, till 1 or 2 a.m. Does the liquor license that they would be applying for dictate how late they can stay open?
Well, you can regulate that through the special use, but give me a second, I'll let you know if the
Okay.
code includes it.
All right, okay, at this time, I think that's all I have for now.
Thank you. Commissioner Creech.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the pictures that you submitted for your establishment, is that pretty much your plans on how you're going to decorate this space?
Yes, it's gonna be neighborhood bar, pub. So, yeah, it's gonna be like, we have the bar counter, and jukebox, pool table. On the other side, one side is a video gaming machine, and there is a storage area.
The problem I have with this is that this space has a Milwaukee Avenue address, which is pretty much our restaurant row here in Wheeling.
Right.
And if I was from out of town or from the city or another suburb and I Googled somewhere to go on Milwaukee Avenue and I come up and I see Karma's Bar, I go, well, that sounds interesting.
Yes.
And I went over there and I pulled up to your establishment and I saw what you have there. I really don't think that that's kind of what I would expect on our restaurant world here in Wheeling.
Yeah, it's a neighborhood bar, so I mean, basically,
That's all I
we have
got. That's all I got to say. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Dorban.
Thank you. I've have some issues with this because of your location, because of the fact that you're right, you have empty space on either side of you. I'm concerned about your being in that space and what potentially might come to the other spaces around you.
Yes.
I have concerns that they're going to say, here's a bar or a tavern or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
They're going to see this and they're going to see it as a gaming tavern. And they're going to not want to be neighbors of that. So I have some real concerns about that. I have some concerns about the fact that I just don't think the location is the best. I think there's other locations that would be more appropriate.
Yes.
I'm a little concerned about the terminology tavern, because really what you're going for is a gaming establishment, not really a tavern, correct?
No, it's gonna combination of both. That's why the name is a Karma Pub. Yeah, it's gonna be bar, neighborhood bar, where the people come and socialize, meet each other, mingle, and plus they can gamble because.
But your pictures don't depict
Okay.
what I term a neighborhood bar. I mean, from the other pictures you have of the other locations, I'm not seeing that as what I would depict as a neighborhood bar.
Yes.
So it appears to me that you're really focusing on the gaming, not on your clientele as far as being a neighborhood bar.
Actually, I'm focusing both, the bar with the plus gaming,
So it's a bar plus
Plus
gaming?
gaming, yes.
Okay, because I perceive it
picture,
as
yeah,
a
picture you doesn't look
gaming
it,
plus
but
a
it's
bar.
gonna be, yes, it's
And
gonna
you're
be
only
bar with the
using
plus gaming,
a
yes,
tavern
definitely.
as a-
Yeah, tavern. The picture doesn't show that much, but once I finish and doing, then you will realize,
Yeah,
you know.
it only appears to me you're
Yes,
using the
yes.
word
Yeah, the
tavern
plan I
just
just
to put
did
in
it, piece of paper, which doesn't, give you the clear idea,
That's all I have, thank you.
Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. So can you describe the entertainment that you indicated in your proposal again?
Yes.
What,
It's gonna be like local DJ, some band, so the people can, come and enjoy the music and all the stuff.
and Inspector Antor, how is the maximum occupancy figured? Is it strictly square footage or?
Well, based on the drawing that the petitioner had provided, he's currently showing 15 seating for the bar and the table area, plus another 5 for the gaming area, so you've got a total of 20 seating positions in there. And then there's also a pool table shown and a area that's open for dancing, mingling, activities at that point. As far as for the seating is usually figured at 15 square foot per person with tables and chairs when you do occupancy load calculations. Standing area for mingling, standing around would be 5 square feet per person. So without this being a scaled drawing,
Right.
Can't really calculate what the occupancy load is. But it would probably be a fair amount larger than the 20 seating positions shown. There's another limiting factor, is that it has one entry, according to the drawing that
That
the
was my
petitioner's
next question.
provided, and that limits your maximum occupancy to 50 occupants.
Okay.
Now, with that, there is a question that I had the current 79 South Milwaukee tenant space currently faces south, which is where the petitioner is showing the entry, but there's also a eastern address, which would be off to the right of the screen, that's also addressed as 79 with a second doorway in it, but I'm not sure if the petitioner is leasing that portion of the building.
So
that
there are
kind
no
of space.
back entrances to these units?
Not that I'm aware of, not in there.
All right, now back to you. Which part of that picture is actually where you're seeing the pub?
So you see the left-hand side, the door?
Yes.
That was I'm leasing. This one. Left to me. This.
So all the way
That's
to
a
the,
79 South Milwaukee.
all the way to the left, that's where your main entrance is.
Correct.
So based on the other floor plan layout, the pub is even further left.
Yeah, that was a 79 South Milwaukee. That was the address of the building.
Right, but when I look at where the main door is on that drawing, that just got taken away,
I cannot see the picture.
that would make it appear,
Yeah, on the corner, right?
well, if you're saying the main door is the one all the way to the left on the photo,
I
Right.
think you have to flip the whole thing the other way. Is that?
yeah,
It's backwards.
I'm
If you just-
confused.
Just turn it the other way and pretend it was that way. Pretty sure. And upside down. So the door would be in the lower right-hand corner. Actually, no. Yeah?
No?
No. The door's in the lower left.
That would
so
be the
flip it.
bathrooms at the front.
So you flip it this way.
That faces, what you're looking for is some type of angle there, and because there's no angle on this drawing, and that is face up in this case is actually south.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm getting at with the door placement?
Yeah, the door, this,
If you spun that drawing around and tried to match it up to the photo, the pub would be further left than the photo is.
right, yeah, this is not a good drawing. It's a terrible drawing,
Sorry for that.
but just use your imagination, Commissioner Johnson, because that's about what we're
Well,
going to have to do.
and that's
here.
why I was asking which section of the photo is actually the pub? Is it all the way down to the corner?
Yes, that's what the corner door
Okay.
to my left, yeah.
So then on the drawing, the door would actually be right by the gaming.
No.
Yeah. If you turn that around 180 degrees.
Flip it vertically in your mind, not horizontally.
If you go back to the picture, you walk in the door, right in front of you is the bar. And then to the left, where that no parking sign is, behind that is where the gaming is going to be, and then it goes straight back. That's how I would,
Yes.
is that
yeah.
correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. So imagine that, walking in, there's the bar, and then to the left, you look out the window, you're going to see a nice post there, a nice brick post.
Okay, well, then the drawing is flipped.
Right,
Yes, correct.
yep, exactly.
So,
South is up.
no,
whereas-
I realize that. But if you rotate it 180 degrees, the door is in the wrong spot.
You're right. Oh, no, well,
Upside down. Technically.
180 puts the door in the lower right-hand corner. That's how, yeah.
Which would put the main part of the establishment to the left of the door.
What's the point?
And that's the way it's going to be.
Okay. Where are some of your other locations?
Yeah, my other location is in Round Lake Beach, Spring Grove, Island Lake.
Okay. I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Commissioner Kalis.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I was going to ask where your other locations were, and you said they are all similar to this concept. It's pretty much
No.
that's Karma's Pub, right?
There are some, yeah, so some is a bar, some have a kitchen.
Okay.
It's run as a restaurant and bar.
That was another, you were not planning a kitchen for this one?
No, I'm gonna not planning the kitchen because the space is also not enough and the landlord doesn't want too many restaurant. It's a competition, so.
Okay. Yeah, because you mentioned snacks. You did
Yes.
not mention food, but then you put in pictures of food?
Correct.
So you're not actually serving nachos, pizza, popcorn, hot dogs, you're not serving
We're gonna
food?
serve the snacks in a bag, plus we can do the sandwich. We can order from the company, the cold sandwich, and ready to eat.
And you'll
At
have
this
those on
point-
site, like
at
that
this point,
cooler
yes.
sort of thing? Okay. It was kind of a technicality, but in your notes, in your letter, in this operations and staffing, it says, a manager will be on duty during all shifts. There are 2 full-time, 2 part-time, but you said there's only 1 employee at a time for parking. So is every employee a manager?
Because now when it comes to the, sitting, I don't have more than like 15 people, so
Yeah.
I don't need too many staff. So 1 person, which is BASIS certified,
Yeah.
they're gonna be, yes, working, plus be, in and out.
So it is possible to have more than 1 employee?
Right.
Okay.
But
'cause-
one is full-time all the time there,
So that's fair, that's fine, but then that
Yes,
moves
I'll be
into the
the,
parking
yes,
problem.
yes, correct.
As it pertains to your stalls allotted. So are you willing to get rid of 2, did you answer? It's been brought up, I don't think
Yes.
you answered. Are you willing to go from 20 seats to 18 so we don't have to
Correct,
talk
right.
about a
So we don't have
variation?
any problem about the zoning issue as well as the parking variation.
So you'll just remove seats versus getting a parking variation?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I wanted to cover there. And again, you mentioned DJ music, a band even you said recently. How often did you say?
It depends because it's too early for me to say anything, but I will do weekend like twice a month.
Twice a month, okay. Is
Yes,
that-
it depends, and I would like to see the patrons, what the customer wants, what they demand, what they like it.
Fair
So
enough.
it is generate, I can,
I was just curious what you do at your other locations, not to say it's the same demographic,
Correct.
same town, we're a different town, obviously.
Yes.
Just kind of curious what kind of cadence you had there,
Yes.
as far as foot traffic, parking. Yeah, and so I echo the concerns of Commissioner Creech and Doorband, and kind of, I don't know if you've watched or heard about anything going on the last month in Wheeling about the contention of all these gaming consoles, gaming cafes. Currently in our code, we don't have a limit. It was lifted, so there's no limit. But for me, if I am to approve a concept with gaming, it has to be above and beyond. It's got to be something unique. Is there anything that you would say is, it says your tagline is your traditional local tavern entertainment.
Correct.
As far as I'll just say me, and the village is concerned, we're looking for something exceptional, like a unique experience, something.
Correct.
Something to really make Wheeling shine.
Correct.
And I'm just curious, how do you feel that you are different in that way than every other establishment we already have with gaming machines?
I mean, I will do like all different kind of, Asian and all the stuff, like different kind of beer, and I can, down the road, I had a plan to introduce Indian snacks, and all the stuff. Yes.
Actual snakes?
Yes.
Wow.
So that was my plan down the road, but I need to see how it goes, and then snacks.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
No,
Thank you.
no,
That's-
snacks.
I was like, is that entertainment for
No,
people?
no.
I'm not sure. Okay.
So,
Sorry,
yeah, plus
apologize,
I will do the
misheard you.
DJ karaoke, I mean.
Gotcha. I'm glad you will not have snakes on
No, no.
locations, personally. Okay. Yeah, I mean, and you're gonna have Indian beers.
Yes.
Is that a theme of your bars, that it's kind of an
Yes.
Indian feel, and that?
Yes.
I mean, that is unique.
No, I mean, I have a team, and, I have my manager here, Sally Soto. She's in the bar business. She's gonna help me to promote my bar.
Okay.
If you want to talk to her, she can a little bit, explain you how we're gonna do
Sure.
and how it.
Sure.
You want to talk, Sally?
I mean,
Yeah, you can come.
if there's anything else, I got it. I got it. I understand. I got it. I understand. Yeah, my point was that with the gaming, it's a hot topic in this village right now, if you're not aware, and it just takes the next level sort of plan and something exceptional. So just keep that in mind, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Blanova?
Thank you. Is it okay for a bar not to have a emergency exit and have only one exit? Is it for up to fire code?
Yeah, the fire code basically would be, number of exits would be determined by the occupancy load, not necessarily the fact that it's a bar compared to a regular restaurant.
And the
Either one of
situation
them
is okay.
would be based on the occupancy load.
Got it. Got it. And I truly don't think one employee it's enough.
Yeah, I will do it, but now it comes to the zoning, and I have to also follow the guidelines of the village code and,
And also since most of the revenue will come from alcoholic beverages, right?
yes,
How important the
60%
gaming for
from the
you?
alcohol and maybe 40%, from the gaming.
And then how important the gaming for you?
Say it again?
How important gaming for you?
Is the gaming is a part of the, business, basically is a karma pub. There is no name of the gaming, there is no advertisement in my business, is a karma pub. It's a pub, people can come and mingle and drinks, and the gaming is a plus because all other establishments have a gaming. If I don't have the gaming, I'm gonna lose that customer who would like to drink, socialize, and gaming. So that is a part of my business.
And you okay that within a mile there are 3 of them? It's going to be 3 gaming places?
Say it again?
And you're okay, you're comfortable with the fact that within a mile there's at least 2 of them?
Yeah, that's fine, there is a competition everywhere. You go every corner, there is a gas station, right? Every corner, they have a
different
restaurant,
thing.
every corner, yeah, so, it's always gonna be there,
I don't have any other questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So back to the entertainment, looking at this, when you said you were going to have bands twice, live bands twice a month.
Yes.
Where are you going to put them there? Where are you going to put them in this drawing here? That's,
I have a little open space and I can accommodate and try to work it out, or maybe I can do the DJ if I cannot able to, see the band cannot fit, because it's too early for me, but that was my thoughts, that was my plan.
well, okay, where would you put a DJ?
That was an open space, when I enter in the door, and, that's a space I can, have the DJ guy come and do the karaoke. And there are like small band, like 2 or 3 piece band, and they can come, and I just would, it's too early for me to tell anything. I just need to go in and just actually feel how I gonna do and what I should do,
Does this lead us to a different type of use?
No, it doesn't lead to a different type of use. It's just that under the code, any bars or taverns with entertainment, the extent of that entertainment needs to be spelled out as one of the conditions. And then if in the future they want to change or expand, they'd have to come back for an amendment to the.
So how would you suggest a condition?
Well, I would say it sounds like definitely the proposal is for DJs, and you can determine as a planning commission whether or not you'd be comfortable with allowing live bands as well, or if you'd rather them wait and be able to demonstrate the space and capacity and ability to have them in there, and how large.
I'd probably like to put I'll poll, but the board, but I think I'd like to put a limit as to what the entertainment is. And right now, I'd like to leave it just as a DJ and a karaoke.
I couldn't hear what you said, Jim.
That's okay.
I'm sorry, I would like to leave it as if we need to be specific, leave it as a DJ and karaoke instead of live bands. Any questions, comments, questions?
Yeah, I think I have one. I know other packets we've seen, Would a designated area help at all? Because I know a lot of the different plans we've seen for different establishments, they've had designated areas for stuff like this. Would that be helpful at all to
Well,
limit
it's
the area?
also the size of the band, too.
Yeah.
Probably a designated area would be helpful, but if we're okay with leaving it a bit open as far as having a band, then maybe we should define what that, but are we in the business of defining what a band is? No, we're not. Hell, I don't even know what a band is. So, I don't know. Mallory, any suggestions as to how we can put a condition on there?
Regarding bands?
Well, but regarding entertainment.
Well, if you would say that entertainment would be permitted in the form of, and then list the forms you would allow. So DJ, jukebox, karaoke, and then if you want to include a band, maybe band not to exceed.
Yeah, but are we in the business of not to exceed?
Well, do you want to say live music?
Live music, right,
Live
yeah,
music.
Live
right.
music.
Okay, yeah, let's do that. Condition that'd be DJ, karaoke, and live music. And live music not to exceed twice a month. As you're writing that, though, I don't see anything, I'm not sure if it was Commissioner Dorband or Commissioner Creech that said that, anything unique here.
Yes.
You're masking something, you're masking it to be just gambling, is the way I look at it. And to me, that's not unique for this area. That's my concern. It's not anything, you're not, to be honest with you, your pictures of your foods, I probably wouldn't have thrown those in there because it doesn't really look very appetizing. And that makes it even less inviting or, and it's not anything that, this isn't even a corner tavern anymore. So those are my only comments. Does anybody else have any other questions?
I have one.
Yes.
Follow-up. I wanted to just answer Commissioner Powers' question about the hours. The section of the code on liquor licensing does include hours of operation. The proposed hours by the petitioner fall within those permitted uses, which.
Thank you, appreciate that.
I also have one question, just maybe for future knowledge. With the tavern special use, is there a revenue mix of food and liquor?
Yes, there is. It is.
Is it the same as a restaurant?
50% need to come, I believe, from alcohol. So it's like a swap.
So it's 50%, wait, say that again?
It's like a swap. So whereas restaurants need to have more of their sales come from food than alcohol, the
Okay.
tavern needs to have more of their sales come from alcohol than food.
And what's the split?
50%.
50 and 50?
Yes,
More than 50% of the sales.
60 and 40,
Oh, okay,
60-40.
okay. Because with that limited amount of food,
Wait,
They're
are we
not
talking
gambling.
the same
Gambling
thing here?
isn't in the calculation,
yeah, I know, right, the
Okay.
gaming is not, and
in the 50.
It's food and liquor.
Food,
Food and liquor,
non-alcoholic,
60%.
I just don't think,
food, alcoholic drinks and non-alcoholic
so it has
drinks.
to be more alcohol than food for the okay,
More
got
alcohol than
Yeah.
food and non-alcoholic drinks.
it. Okay, because they don't have much food, so if food was in, anyway, got it, thank you.
Can I add something?
Yes,
We also need to think about other,
you need to speak louder and into that.
I'll do my best.
Thank you.
We also need to think about the other spaces that, because it's empty, it's vacant now, and maybe there's some kind of soundproofing can be done, because what if something like, I don't know, sushi place will be there, and then we have karaoke, loud, live music, and then little sushi place, it's not gonna work well. Is there any soundproofing that can be done?
But it's gonna be like in the evening time, night time, where all other businesses are, closed. It's gonna be like 7, 8
Usually
o'clock.
like 9, 9:30,
Yes.
10.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, it's a very good point. I think that should be added to the common walls. if you're going to have something like this, irrespective of what's going in next door, something next door could be another restaurant, who knows, or it could be a meditation center that's open until midnight.
They won't like
That-
the snakes.
But the medical center, they close like 5, 6 o'clock and,
I'm talking a meditation
oh,
center.
medical center. I mean, in that case, I
It could be
mean,
a massage, yeah,
And they could
exactly.
go to 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
I mean, in that case, I will not do the band,
So
you know,
we're-
and
we're-
karaoke. I will change my theme, you know.
Well, you're going to have to work with probably your landlord, but we're adding a condition that we'll go through. Are there any other questions, comments?
Yeah, Brooke, do they have to provide a scale real drawing to get permitting?
Yes.
So the doorway thing will be
Yes,
resolved?
And take the 2 seats out too.
Okay, thank you.
Put that
I
up.
will get it done through the architect. I asked the Brooke that you need now, she said, right now you don't need, but down the road, I can hire the architect and do the actual drawing. And I have to do it once I do the, you know, adding another bathroom and all the stuff. So I need the permit from the village, I need to hire the licensed contractor. So there are a lot of things, it's going to be line up once, you know, it's move forward.
I'm sorry, can I add something more?
Yep.
I'm rocking tonight. Is it possible to be sure that the band will not be by the door?
That's
Can't
fine,
be
no
on that wall
problem.
at all?
Yeah, I will, I mean, this is all small things which I can work it out. It's not the big issue, you know. Maybe I don't do the band, who knows? I mean, that's my thoughts and that was my plan. It doesn't mean that I'm going to do it. It doesn't work for me, so, you know. I had some bar and I was doing the band, but it doesn't work, so I stopped it. There was a DJ karaoke. I try to do it to promote my business all the different way and see what the patrons like it, but then in, you know, certain, you know, area in the bar, they don't like it, so I stop it. So,
Understood. Thank you.
Well, and what was your thinking there?
Because of a fire hazard. If it's only one exit,
Well, but again, I think that will be done at permitting with
Got
the
it.
final, so I'm not certain that that's something, it's got to be identified, and I think if the fire department sees that that is an issue, they will not allow it anyway.
got it.
Right, so, okay. Brooke, you have some conditions?
Yes. Number 1, prior to occupancy, a rack for 2 bicycles shall be added to the site. 2, prior to occupancy, an outdoor smoking area shall be designated. 3, based upon the proposal for only 1 employee during peak shift, there shall be no more than 18 seats. 4, special use approval shall be subject to liquor license approval. I added that one. 5, entertainment may include DJs, karaoke, and live music not to exceed twice a month. And that not to exceed twice a month is specific to the live music.
Live bands, right, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, great.
And number 6, additional soundproofing shall be installed to common walls prior to occupancy.
Great, thank you. Do I hear a motion on 2018-19?
So move.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Kalis, second by Commissioner Blanova. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Kalis,
No.
Commissioner Blanova,
No.
Commissioner Creech,
No.
Commissioner Dorban,
No,
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes,
Commissioner Powers votes no, and Chairman Rafato.
No. So this is a no vote from the Plan Commission, but we are a recommending board only. And Brooke will tell you when the Plan, I'm sorry, we're the Plan Commission, when the village board meeting will be, when this will be brought up.
okay.
As we recommend, this recommendation will go to the board, to the village board and their findings, but they'll have another meeting there.
Okay.
Okay?
No
You'll have something to sign that shows you what the conditions are and the vote. Okay? Brooke, do you need to take a break?
I'm okay right now, thank you. Okay, sure.
Sign both of these, and one copy is yours. They should both be signed here. I'll take that one. And that's yours. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ready for the next one? Calling docket number 2018-20. The Learning Experience, 343 West Dundee Road, special use site plan approval of a child daycare center. Mr. Secretary.
Docket number 2018-20, Wheeling Commercial Development LLC contract owner who is seeking special use site plan approval as required under Title 19 zoning of the Wheeling Municipal Code, Chapter 19-05 Mixed Use Districts, Chapter 19-10 Use Regulations, Chapter 19-12 Site Plan Approval Requirements and associated sections in order to establish a daycare center at 343 West Dundee Road, Wheeling, Illinois, which is zoned MXT, Transit-Oriented Mixed Use District. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Brooke, anything to add?
Yes, that the staff report and submittals of the petitioner are part of the public record.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Friedman. I assume you will not be the only person speaking tonight. So who will be speaking tonight? Nobody? Please, everybody please stand up who's going to be speaking tonight. Would you all raise your right hand? You swear the testimony you give to be the truth tonight?
Yes.
Thank you. And as you come up, if you give your name and business address, you can move up a little bit. You don't have to sit in the corner.
You scared her.
I know, I must have. Nobody puts baby in the corner. So, Mr. Friedman, you're up, sir.
Good evening. Good to see everybody again. So today we are reviewing Building E of the Town Center. And we have secured a lease with the Learning Experience. We are making a slight modification to the originally proposed site plan with regards to Building E. This is what was approved originally, and once we brought in the Learning Experience and learned about their requirements for the outdoor playground area, in addition to their drop-off and pickup area, we worked with them to reconfigure the site that would allow for a more customer-friendly, parent-friendly drop-off and pickup area, would also provide them with the outdoor playground area with the fencing that's required by state. And then we added this little landscape island as well, which we see as offering some additional outdoor seating and landscaping. With regards to the building, this is just another version of what the new site plan would look like here, with the building here, the attached playground, the outdoor area here, and then you see all the canopies here. And this is their main entrance on the south side. And then we've provided an interior floor plan. We have a representative from the Learning Experience here today who can answer any questions regarding operations and management of their facility and programming. And then these are the materials, very similar to what you've seen before. We have provided samples. We do not have a sample of the sconce, but I believe everybody here has seen a sample of the sconce that has been approved on other buildings. And then we did introduce a metal blue awning per the request of the tenant. This is the south elevation, which will serve as the main entrance for the facility. Combination of the brick, the storefront windows, the metal canopies, and then the EFIS and their signature learning block entrance with the letters and the numbers. And you'll notice there's a very similar pattern surrounding the building on all sides. This is the north elevation, which would be the extension of Community Boulevard. I'm sorry, I should back up for just a second. For forgot to mention that the original site plan here that we looked at had some parking along Community Boulevard. We eliminated that parking, as you can see here, and then we added some additional parking south of the building per the request of the tenant for their drop-off and pickup. And, sorry, I'm just getting back now to the elevations. So this is the north elevation that would not provide any main entrance. And then this is the west elevation that would have the fence around it with the playground area. These are some perspective renderings to help you get a better understanding of what the building would look like from different angles.
So, Mr. Friedman, just for clarification, where the real nice sign was, you know, it said signage, that is the north side, but there's no entrance on that side.
So what you're looking at right now, you see the main entrance to the facility, which is the south side. The north side, I'll go back to that.
Yes.
This is the north. So, but that's not a main entrance. It's just to help identify the building and the tenant.
Well, I'll help this along a little bit. If we could get a description of what this is going to be, that would be great. Of the daycare center.
The building or tell me.
The operations.
Okay.
And then we're going to go back to probably parking, and we'd like descriptions on that. But if you could come and give us a description of what the operation is going to be like. I think everybody would like to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to let Jennifer step up and speak on behalf of the learning experience.
That's fine. No problem.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Rook, 343 West Dundee Road.
If you could raise that microphone up, so.
Is that better?
That's better.
We are a childcare facility. We extend services from 6 weeks to 12 years old. Our programming varies from phonics to sign language to foreign languages, technology, manners, and beyond. We service a variety of part-time families, full-time families, if there are any state families as well. But we will be open Monday through Friday, 6:30 to 6:30. And there's more. There's enrichments and more stuff to the program.
So could you just describe some of those things?
We offer, so all of our programming is included with everything. So we believe what's good for one child is good for all. So we have yoga, we have soccer, we have math programs, we have a talent program which allows them to do more dramatic play and reinforce their personality. We introduce sign language at infancy and carry it through, as well as phonics and technology at the age of 2, just hands-on learning how to make connections from on a big TV board that looks like a big touch screen. We also have physical fitness. We teach healthy eating habits as well as being engaged in the community through our philanthropy program and just kind of being just little active people.
Great. Well, thank you. I'm sure somebody might have a question when we get to us, but we probably, great, thank you. And then probably, Mr. Friedman, the other thing that probably we want to discuss is the traffic and traffic flow. So, you know, you saw the report.
Yes.
So there's a gentleman walking up behind you, so I'm sure he's going to.
Is he scary looking?
So if we go from there.
Thank you. Steve Corcoran with Erickson Engineering Associates, Grays Lake, Illinois.
Mr. Corcoran.
Brooke, do I control it?
You can control, your slides are after this. One more.
There we go. So as part of our submittal, I did an update to both our traffic and parking reports for the Wheeling Town Center. Let's talk about parking first. That's the easier of the two. In one respect, this actually makes parking at the town center easier because it's going to be open basically from 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. on weekdays. So it's not going to be open on the weekend, and it's not going to be open in the evening. And as we know, with the theater and the restaurants, the peak parking demands for the majority of the center, not including the residences, in the evening and on the weekends. So this is actually, we're replacing retail with the Child Development Center, and that's actually going to free up parking in the evenings and in the weekends. The other thing that the parking is going to do with the loss of the parking spaces on the north side, we're going to, it's kind of a traffic parking combined. We're just going to have less activity on the north side, as well as any of this retail that we originally had here. There's obviously going to be people parking to the north in that parking lot and crossing the extension of, or Main Street, or whatever you want to call the east-west road here. And so there's going to be less pedestrian activity than before. So from a traffic perspective, that helps the east-west street. And so the parking is basically going to be concentrated more on the south side for the Learning Center. Overall, again, we have enough parking. Traffic-wise, let's talk about the big picture. We're actually going to have less traffic in the PM peak hour and on Saturday peak hour with the developmental center. We also, I wasn't here 2 weeks ago, I was on vacation, but we also updated it for the bank and for the Mia Cucina restaurant. So those were all included in these updated numbers too. In the morning, we obviously are going to have a little more traffic with this center because, you know, but that's our least critical because the theater, most of the restaurants and most of the retail is not open at that time. So we're adding a little bit of traffic. We did check our capacity analysis. That was in the report, and we're still fine because, again, that was the non-critical of the 3 time periods. In terms of the staff report, that really focused on, or the concern was, which we'll discuss now, is to the south of this is the entrance to the apartment parking garage. And this is where all our residential traffic is going to be entering and exiting, and they'll be basically going up this north-south road, and then either turning left to go to the signal at Northgate, turning right to go to the right and right out. Maybe a couple go straight to go Starbucks in the morning, who knows. And then in the evening, they're coming back, whether, again, from the signal, from either signal, or from the right and right out, and then coming back down in here. The path of our daycare, or the developmental center traffic, there's a blow up, kind of showing all the things that are going on in this area. The morning, again, is not so critical because the apartment traffic is going this way. We do have the child care traffic coming down this way. In our report, we do not recommend that they enter at this location. We do not want cars to stop here waiting for someone to get out of one of these parking spaces and then create a backup. So we've recommended do not enter before 6:30 p.m. on a weekday at that location. And we're going to direct parent traffic to come down here where this red line is. And then in this case, this is not like a public or private elementary school where kids are let off curbside. Parents have to pull in a parking space and bring their child or children into the building, sign in and sign them out. So they have to park. There's not going to have a long queue of cars, you know, waiting to pick up or drop off their child. They have to come in here. So they'll come in here and pull into one of these spaces primarily. We'll talk about that in a sec, how many spaces in a second. But we got more. This green line is about 200 feet long. I mean, I can't conceive that we're ever going to have that many cars stacked up waiting for one of these parking spaces to open up. So there'll be, but more importantly, if there are a few cars, like say right here, they're not interfering with the apartment traffic coming in and out. When they do exit at this location and make a right, obviously they have to give way, the right of way to the apartment traffic. And so they'll just wait until there's a gap and come out here. In the evenings, we also have a little bit of an overlap potentially with the valet. This is 4 lanes wide in this location. We have the right turn lane. Those added during the course of the whole PUD process. This will be the through and left turn lane, so you can either go straight into this parking area or towards Starbucks or make a left to go to the Northgate signal. And then we have a southbound lane, and then we have a separate lane for the valet cars so they can get out of the through traffic and not interfere. For the most part, most of these, the kids will be picked up really before the valet starts to kick in most days, most weekdays. But either case, we have a room for them to get out of the way for through traffic for the apartment or for the parents. And then the parents can come in here and get out of the way to do their pickup or drop off. Again, as I mentioned, unlike, a regular school, parents don't have a set time. They don't have classes that they got to be there by 9 o'clock or 8:30, and you get the big, 15-minute rush like you do at a typical school. Parents drop them off anywhere over a 3-hour period from 6:30 to about 9:30 in the morning. Start picking them up as early as 3:30 and up to 6:30 when it closes. Here is the estimate from the learning experiences data showing their typical times. They have a peak of about 43 kids being dropped off or picked up in a 30-minute period. This actually ties in really nicely. My ITE, the Institute of Transportation data, was 70 cars an hour for a similar type facility, which is 35 cars an hour. And again, they're picking up, and that comes out to about, if we use the 43, that's about 1.25 kids per car. So, some kids are multiples. Who have more than one car, or more than one child in a car being picked up. So that kind of dovetails nicely, but you can see the majority of it in the evening is usually by 5:30, and then toward the tail end it's less, and that's when really we would expect the valet parking to pick up. So the other thing is, with 43 kids, let's say about 35 cars during a 30-minute period, it takes about 8 minutes in the afternoon to pick them up. So one parking space can usually handle about 3 cars in that half-hour period. Let's say, be generous, give it 10 minutes per car. So the majority of these 7 spaces right here, not including the accessible, will serve where most of the parents will be pulling in and out of to pick up or drop off their child. And then there's a couple spaces here, and they'll probably use a couple spaces, maybe even 1 or 2 of these spaces here. So there's plenty of parking right by the front door to accommodate the needs of the parents dropping and picking them up. The learning experience also, this is just a very general drop-off and pickup policy, but every location they have more specifics, and then the parents will be directed how to drop off and pick up their kids, and they do provide the control for that. And they only use the front door, so we can't have kids using that north lot, having to cross the street and coming around. They're not going to let that happen. Oops. And then last thing we did, let me back up. The concern was the amount of traffic with the apartments and the learning center, because we are changing the traffic pattern a little bit, in that when this was retail, it's going to be split between this parking and the parking to the north. Now they're all coming through here. We did some capacity analysis this intersection. You can see for the 2 outbound lanes, that's under stop sign control. There's at least 120 feet of queuing for both lanes, so that's about 6 cars per lane. We ran some capacity analysis for all the apartment traffic, all the learning center traffic, plus some additional traffic related to in the evening or in the evening for some valet. And the intersection overall works good with movements at levels A, B, or C. The northbound right turn, which is exiting out of that area, is a level service C, which is still good. And the maximum queue was 2 vehicles. So we still have plenty of queuing. There's plenty of room, and we have, as I mentioned before, 4 lanes there. So we don't anticipate any problems. And south of there, we still maintain 3 lanes, even as we go further south through that for fire protection purposes. So, take any questions now, or do you want to finish?
We probably want to finish. Okay. But I'm sure you know how we are. Yeah. You'll be back. You'll be back. Mr. Friedman, anything else to add?
I don't have anything else to add at this time.
Okay.
But obviously,
Great.
we are here to go through and answer all questions.
Thanks.
So.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on this matter? No? Okay, great. So
Can I ask a question?
we're going to start,
Chairman?
we're going to start with Commissioner Creech, and then,
Okay.
is your,
I just want to know the lens that I'm processing all the questions through. And are we approving the site plan, the details of the site plan, or whether or not the Learning Center is going to come here? Like, is the Learning Center coming here regardless? Or are we approving this, like, there's a contract, there's a,
Yes, the special use is tied to the site plan and appearance. It's all three things you're reviewing.
And the use.
so we can,
and use.
okay,
The
so we
special
can
use, the
decide
site
that
plan,
we
and the appearance.
do or do not want the Learning Center here, or no, it's just?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Yes.
got it, okay.
Yep.
Because it's on the website, there's a contract, I wanted to know if
Nope.
it's possible that it
This
wouldn't
needs to go-
actually be
yeah,
here.
The approval of this facility needs to go through the plan commission and get final approval by the board before it can be constructed.
Thank you. Now you can go. Commissioner.
Meaning it's not a slam dunk.
That's-
No
that's
special
thinking.
use or anything that comes before us. There's nothing preconceived, nothing that this is the process.
It's been
that-
decided that it's going to be here, we're
Exactly.
just approving how it looks and feels, and, okay, gotcha, thank you.
Look, feel, and again, use.
Yep,
Use.
got it, thank you.
Great. But good question. Commissioner Creech, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, Brad, I can't believe you came here without a plan for the trash enclosure.
No, we have one.
I would never,
It's not in my packet.
it was submitted late, so I apologize for that.
And it's got a stripe.
We can't believe
And
this.
and it has a stripe. Here, I can identify it on the site plan if that
I
helps.
see where it's
Yes.
at.
You're
Do you
better
see
than
where
that.
it's at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, the only thing I see on that is that there's no bollards on the front of the trash enclosure. So I would put that as a condition, just so that the
front of it?
doors don't swing all around and smack a car or something, and then they can't back into it.
Oh, on the sides.
On the front, on either side of the trash
Okay.
enclosure.
All right.
That would stop the doors from swinging completely around if they got caught by the wind, if they weren't.
Are they opening inwards, though?
Let me check.
I would think not.
It looks that way on the drawing, but
Opening outward.
Yeah, I believe they're open,
Oh.
I believe they're opening outwards. Is that
Yeah.
correct, Tom?
Yeah, they would have to.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I misinterpreted it.
Tom Marsopsky, Callison RTKL Architects, 200 South Michigan Avenue. If you look at the upper left, you see a couple of arcs. That's the door swing, so it does swing out.
Thank you. So to Commissioner Creech's comment about something that will stop those, and
There are, in addition to the bollards, there are hinges that only swing 180 versus 360, and there are also ways to stop the doors. I think we have them we have bollards in our plans.
Okay, all
They didn't show up on this one.
right, that's normal.
great, thank you. Continue on.
I really only think we would need a bollard on the south
Well-
side because the north side goes into landscaping. There's no cars
It
parked.
looks like that, but of course, my questions were kind of based on not having anything, so.
Okay.
But yeah, maybe just one, but whatever. My other concern about this is that our continued loss of space in this project. We went from 100,000 square feet of retail down to 94,000 square feet of retail. And this particular project isn't even retail. So that's a big concern of mine. And then, of course, one of the other spaces that we have on this site is a bank, which is, again, no retail.
So we have reached our capacity for non-sales tax generating use, and we are all aware of that this would this puts us just under the 15% maximum allowed before it starts to affect our TIF dollars. So we are aware of that.
So then everything else going forward has to be retail?
That it has to be sales tax generating.
Okay.
Yes. Otherwise, it affects our TIF agreement.
So there's a maximum of non-tax?
Yeah,
Okay.
15, yeah, 15%.
So you can have less, but you can't have more. Okay, got it.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I did had somewhat of a concern about the parking, but since this is going to be a learning center, I'm thinking that we're going to have a lot less parking since it's not retail. My other concern was the sign saying no entrance before 6:30. Gee, I don't know how that works because dropping my kids off at school a long time ago, there was always someone driving right at me head on when there's a
Didn't
one-way
you see
street.
Mr. Mom growing up? They yelled at him when he went the wrong way.
That's a good.
I'm guessing, and Jennifer can speak to this, that they educate all of the parents with regards
They do
to
that
how
at the school,
the
too.
drop-off is supposed to be handled.
I'm just saying that's my concern. I'm not saying that's, I think it should be just one way, if that's the case.
We can look into that, but I don't think it's necessary to make it a one-way.
All right, I'm just
If it's
voicing my
after, if
opinion.
it's after 6:30 PM and then Saturday and Sunday,
Well, why couldn't we do that? I put signage up and say one way from this, I mean, we have signs on streets around here, no left turn, 6:30 to 9:30. Do not
well,
enter.
that's
right.
essentially what we're planning
What
to
you're
do.
trying to do.
Yes.
So, but make it probably, I think where Commissioner Creech is going, make it more assertive in your signage. And, you know, maybe even markings on the street is what I think. Is that what you're looking for, Commissioner Creech?
I really think that it wouldn't hurt it for it to be just one way, but, you know, that's all the time.
All the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't look like that would be that big of a challenge for, you know, anyone
there's
coming
no
in and parking.
Well, there's less
Or,
confusion
you know,
that
even
way.
after, you know, when they're closed and everything, I don't think it would be a big challenge.
Do not enter, maybe?
Well, he's got that. He's going to put that up. So, but continue on, and
Okay, but-
I've got it written down as
All right.
something to discuss.
The eaves portion of the, on the front and rear elevation, is that directly on solid masonry, or is that going to be on foam board?
I'll let,
Is it going to be stucco, more of a stucco product rather than an eaves product? Because we have our issue with.
are you talking about this area right here or the south elevation?
Yes.
Or both?
You have it on the north elevation and I believe the south elevation too, don't you?
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, can you ask the question one more time?
Is it on solid masonry without any foam board insulation, or more like a stucco product? Or is it on foam insulation? Because we don't really recommend, you know, the first 4 feet or 6 feet from ground level up. We don't like to see that at all.
And we support that as well. If you look at the elevation where the mouse is, you see these gray portions? That's a 4-foot wainscot of finished material number 7, which is, that is the brick. So it's this gray brick. And then the
Actually, number 7 is aluminum picket fence.
I need glasses.
You identified as 2.
Number 2.
Where's number 2? 2, here it is, all right, here.
Material that would be at the base.
Right, and that's that's that 4-foot wainscot that goes underneath the windows all the way around the building.
Okay.
And then number 9 is the eaves, and the eaves it is a stucco-like coating by its construction. It's on a foam insulation, which is then attached to a CMU backup, concrete masonry unit. That's pretty standard. But it doesn't go down to the ground, because we agree.
Well, I see it, I'm sorry, but I see it in between the two doors on the north elevation,
Yes,
going down
right
almost to the ground.
Right here.
Maybe a
Yes.
foot
You are correct. We can change that to be.
on
You're talking
both
about
elevations.
right
It's
here.
on west too, I think there's some
Along here.
ephes on the west elevation.
I think that's an easy
I don't
fix.
see any on the other.
There's a number 9 in there in the west
Yeah,
elevation.
that's true. On that west elevation as well.
Right here. But that's an easy fix to
Okay.
put the brick. I think Brad would
Put the
support
number
that.
2 product all the way around.
Yeah. Yes.
That's all I got. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you. Let's see, how we covered that. I concur with Commissioner Creech on making that a one-way and then a stop sign at the end of that. Yeah, I don't see that as being a major problem. And will the valets be trained not to go in there before 6:30?
Yeah, well, we're not going to.
We have problems with valets and other
at 6:30 in the morning, but
not in the
it's a
morning,
good
but
question.
at 6:30 at night you will. Or 6 o'clock.
Yes, valet would start probably Friday evenings at about 6:30 in preparation of the Friday night evening activity.
So we've had problems with valets in other areas that just.
And we would absolutely
the
work with the
problems.
valet to make sure that there was no interference with that pickup on Friday evenings.
Let's see. I guess the description of the drop-off and pickup plans would be appropriate to review. Thought I saw a slide in there before.
Yeah,
It was.
I'm getting there. This one?
Well, there was a
Words.
text.
The text.
Oh, yeah, got it. This one?
One more, I think.
Next page. All right.
That one. Okay.
Right.
Understand that now. Now, how many parking spaces total did we lose, Brooke? Is it 10?
Is it 13?
13.
13? How high is the playground enclosure?
The fence?
Fence, wall, whatever you want to call it.
I believe it's 6 feet, is that correct? Yes.
To me, it looks like a great climbing wall with the slots in it. And, not sure how that.
Well, we were trying to accommodate requests made by the tenant and requests made by the fire department at the same time, which was a little challenging because they wanted it to be totally closed off and the fire department wanted there to be visibility. And so we thought this was a nice compromise.
I'm just wondering how older kids are going to be kept out of there because it's a nice climbing wall.
Well, I would think that would be an operational item to make sure that the staff members are.
Can you address that?
We train our staff that there's actually scheduled activities for the playground. It's not a free-for-all, everyone's running around doing whatever they want. So the staff are walking around, they're engaging them in large motor activities, and they're always walking the perimeter. So they're not sitting or watching the kids climb the wall. But we have fences that are completely open in some sites. We have centers that have completely closed. it's not as much of an issue because we keep them busy.
I'm thinking more from the outside.
Oh, people
going
coming in.
Yeah. I'm sure your staff is
Well,
doing a
the
fine
staff-
job, but.
The staff have to walk the perimeter of the playground every time they walk out, so I guess if they find somebody inside the playground, they're not going outside first.
But at 7 o'clock at night, what happens?
Our alarm system will probably go off because the gates are, I don't
Well, I mean,
know.
if you're climbing over the wall, though.
Yeah, well, I don't know if there's going to be, I don't know what the sensors are, but some of the fences have movement, and if they climb over the wall and get in there at night, they just can't get into the building. The building will be locked.
No, but they can get into the playground.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel about that.
I mean, we have centers in urban areas, so I guess that could potentially happen, but I don't think it happens as much as you think.
Okay. Do you have other facilities in this area?
Yeah. We have 10 centers in Illinois. We have over 200 locations that are open right now and over 200 locations that are in development, including in the UK.
Where is your closest one around here?
Gurnee just opened in July, Lake Zurich. We have 3 downtown Chicago, and then a lot western suburbs, Aurora, Naperville area right now. So we're kind of expanding north at this point.
Okay. Let's see, somewhere in the right, well, it's page 59. Talks about number of employees, approximately 24 staff at any one time, 14 full-time and 7 part-time. That only makes 21.
She didn't go to the learning experience.
I didn't do the math.
You don't do math at this school.
And when that just depends, it's, you said 22 is the beginning. So yeah, I mean, there could be one more full-time I don't know if that includes the manager or not, but sometimes the part-time staff are there in the morning and then they leave and someone comes in the afternoon. So it just depends.
And you said this is for children 6 weeks to what? 12 years? Yeah, you stay
I'm
there.
just going to stay here. 6 weeks to 12 years old.
Okay.
We typically go up till about 6, but in some areas, school age programming is necessary. So after we kind of get in and determine kind of the needs in the area, then we might be able to have school agers as well.
Because in the written proposal here, it said to 8 years old is
It's typically
normal.
8. The state of Illinois is 12. So the license is up to 12, but it doesn't mean that we'll
Okay.
have children up to 12.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
If I was a 12-year-old, I'd be pretty ticked if I had to go to daycare.
You'd be climbing that wall.
That would be just me. Commissioner Powers.
Thanks. Commissioner Creech, thanks for asking the question about the EFS. I kind of have the same thing, so I want to double check this again. Everywhere I see EFS, which is number 9 on your key, in the northwest and east elevation, are we proposing to put that 4-foot brick veneer number 2 on the bottom of it? Is that in all places? That is on those elevations on the bottom?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so I want to make sure we got that. Can you, the aluminum picket fence, is it a picket fence like the top of the fence is pointed, or is it a flat top on the fence? Because if it was pointed, I'd be afraid somebody would get hurt trying to climb over the top of it possibly. Is it a flat top or a pointed top when it says picket fence?
This fence here. Not the
yes.
playground fence, but
Correct,
the fence
not
that
the playground
surrounds
fence,
the
but the
perimeter.
picket fence, yep.
It's flat. Thank you.
And just so I know that the north elevation again, all it's going to be is the road, then the sidewalk, and then the picket fence, right? That's what we're looking
Correct.
at. And just for my clarification, can you pull up the drawing you had, how you took away the parking spaces where you had the overlay drawing. Can you pull that up? Yeah, that one there. So just so I know, so the inside of that outer, the inside where it says E, that's the left, the right side's the building, the left side of that is the playground, and then the other area around the front of it, what does that depict? Is that like
The sidewalk.
sidewalk? Okay. And then you have a land with the landscaping area was where again? The one that you added?
Yeah, this whole area here is landscaped.
Okay. I really don't have anything else. Thank you.
Great. Mr. Friedman, you have a updated landscape plan, right?
Yeah, we do, yeah. It's good point, Jim. Just 1 second, I'll get to that. Yeah, it's just, yeah, that's it, right there. Yeah.
Cool. Very nice.
Yep.
Consistent with everything else that you've done at
Well, it's the same landscape
Right.
architect who's done
Yeah.
the rest of the town center,
Right,
so,
yeah.
yes.
Okay, cool. Is that it, Commissioner
Yes.
Powers? Thank you. Commissioner Dorban?
Thank you. Most of my questions have been answered, and more specifically, I was worried about the drop-off and pickup situation and the car situation, and you've addressed that, and I appreciate it. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Mr. Kalis?
Thank you very much, Chairman. I like the concept. The business model is awesome to have vibrant children and growing children in a community. My concern is over the use in the town center. And Brad, I wasn't part of the town center, I wasn't part of this when the town center came to be. Do you remember, or the market study for these apartments, the demographic that you're targeting, can you speak to that? Because it seems to me that having a learning center here would be convenient if it was a bunch of families that had kids that could drop off their kids and then take a train to work or drive to work or whatever. So if that was the case, it would be convenient because you've got all these apartments with all these kids. But I don't think that's the demographic of these apartments. Can you speak to that?
The demographic really has a very wide range. We're looking at young professionals, we're looking at divorcees, we're looking at some families, and we're looking at some empty nesters. I know that is a very vague answer, and it kind of covers the gamut, but that is what we're seeing at these suburban, Class A new construction apartment buildings.
Yeah.
It is a melting pot, so to speak.
Yeah, and I'm trying to not make it my own personal opinion, but for the good of the village and in respect to all the gaming cafes and as it pertains to the comprehensive plan of Wheeling, I'm trying to think, what is the goal of the town center? So I was just looking at there's an article in the Daily Herald that said, a city like Field is expected to woo renters, John Milanoff said, our economic development director, young professionals, empty nesters, which you mentioned. So he did not mention the middle part of families. Town center will, you said this very eloquently, town center will host community events like fairs, festivals, art shows, and farmers markets, which is great. And I'm just looking for like the purpose of the town center and seeing if the use of a learning center fits that. Create a new place for housing, shopping, playing, eating, and hanging out. Playing, I don't know if that was intended as like kids playing, but a place to attract young people as well as retirees. So again, it's young professionals and retirees. It's like either side without the middle part of people that have kids. So as far as the use is concerned, and then retail and entertainment, so it's not retail space. This is from the Wheeling Town Center website. And again, on another page, retail and entertainment, neither of which the Learning Center is. So the stated goal of the town center is retail and entertainment, nightlife sort of thing, and I just don't feel it. Like, I love the Learning Center concept, I just don't know that the use fits in this area. And the fact that we're straying away from retail, and thank you for pointing out the 15% thing. I didn't know about that either, so that was appreciated. I figured Commissioner Creech would talk about the materials, and I appreciate the traffic update. I have no concerns about the site plan itself. My concern is about the use as it pertains to the goal of the town center, and I personally I don't think it fits, so.
I had the same concern. Initially. You're right, the town center is supposed to be an entertainment district. We have a movie theater and we have a lot of restaurants. But the fact is, we are limited to the number of restaurants that we can bring into the town center because of the parking and traffic. So this actually is a really nice balance. As Steve mentioned, it alleviates some of the parking demand and frees up those spaces for nights and weekends. So it's a really nice balance there. There's also a need to increase the daytime traffic at this location. And so there's an opportunity to get some additional traffic in the morning. And then also there's an opportunity to get some early evening traffic. And the idea of parents dropping their kids off or picking their kids up and then having the opportunity in the morning to get a cup of coffee, go to Experience and get breakfast, or later in the evening to grab a bite, to eat while they're picking their child up is very convenient. And so it actually works very well, but I did initially have the same concern as you, and then I started to think about how the balance works. And you also have to take into consideration how retail is very different today from what it was years ago when we originally had, the concept. There's a lot of retail stores that are closing, and so people are rethinking the way that retail works. You see a lot of bookstores that are closing and being taken over by medical facilities, and I'm sure there are a lot of people that never thought that would be a good fit, but it actually works. In a lot of shopping centers nearby where you see a adaptive reuse, because you have to adapt based on the changing environment of retail. So
absolutely.
I hope that addresses your question.
That's great perspective. I appreciate that. I did not think of it that way. Still a concern, obviously. When you said traffic, alleviating traffic in the evening, with the original proposal, was traffic a problem? Like, you wouldn't have gotten the town center approved with a traffic problem.
We were limited. Well, traffic was always a big,
of course.
a big debate. But we were limited to the number of restaurants that we could bring into the town center because of the concern about parking and everybody coming at night.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden we have Starbucks, we have Inland Bank, we have Experience. So we have uses to offset those evening times, which is great. That's exactly what we wanted. We wanted to bring in some morning use, some daytime use, some evening use. So we have a good balance.
Yeah.
And I think we are there. As Steve mentioned, this improves the traffic and the parking study. It's more balanced now, and so I do believe that this is a step in the right direction.
Sure. And then with that in mind, I know that the desire for this town center is walkability and bikeability, so like that would also, the way that it's been laid out with the bike racks and all this stuff should also alleviate that. So I just didn't think or realize, or I don't know if I still process that it would be a concern. We just don't know, I guess. Being the wise, you just know this world. What other options have you been, besides just restaurants? You said there's limited choices of what, and I can respect that, but is there anything else that could possibly go in besides a non-tax receiving childcare facility?
For Building E specifically, are you asking?
Has anybody thought of another non-restaurant, non-daycare use, or are you just so limited it's got to be a restaurant?
No, we're very particular. We've looked at other uses that are also non-sales tax generating, like shared co-working space, or firms that focus on medical, dental, or investment, services. And so we've always considered that those would be viable options that would be part of the town center, which is why when we negotiated the redevelopment agreement, we made sure that we had the opportunity to bring in 15% of the ground floor commercial space as a non-sales tax generating use. We thought that was a good balance.
Okay. Yeah, I like this service. I mean, using a service business as an example is great. Childcare is one. You said co-working first. I think that co-working would be a much more appropriate use for young professionals than empty nesters. I'm just conflicted with the use in this area. I could see it both ways. I appreciate your perspective, but it seems like I was the only one to think about it that way. But I have no question about the site plan itself, but thank you for that clarification.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Blanova.
Thank you. I have absolutely no concerns. I think it's a great idea. It will generate more use and the plaza will not be empty during the day. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Done?
Oh, yeah,
Okay, great, thank you.
no concern.
So just a couple of questions, and staying with where Commissioner Kalis was going. Ma'am, I assume you did some type of analysis, some studies as to where you're going to attract people from? And so can you give us some idea of what the thinking of the learning experience was to pick this location?
We typically do I want to say a 3 to 5 mile analysis of the families and children in the area. So it's pulling not just from this area, but also families from around. And then if there is enough children in the area that can support it, then that's essentially what helps build and determine whether or not the program is viable in that area.
And what did you find then?
I don't have the details to that. That would be something I can get from the construction department, but we found that it was a good fit, that there were children in this area, that there was a need for programming for children of this during 6 weeks to 8 years, I guess, as they essentially wanted.
Okay, so you wouldn't have information, like Commissioner Kalis and I had it on my question about foot traffic. I mean, we've got a lot of residents. I mean, we've got apartment complex right in the property and then a couple across the street. And I was just thinking, so that type of analysis wasn't done.
I don't know if it wasn't done, that it probably was done by our construction department. I just don't have that. I just know that parents kind of come and go throughout the day, so it's really never an issue of crowdedness. They're coming in, they're dropping off, they're picking up when they're ready.
So you mentioned western suburbs, closest one is probably Gurnee.
Mm-hmm.
What is the setting of that? Is it a standalone building? Is it part of a shopping center?
It is a standalone building next to a strip mall, actually right next door to Six Flags. It literally across the street, you're in Six Flags.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Right next to.
For some parents that want to go by themselves, maybe.
They just drop the kids off and go. See ya.
That's a Black Wolf Run, I guess. Okay, so that was, okay. So maybe Brad, if you could bring up don't leave this question. The times of, you had that one slide, this one right here.
Yes.
So what this is saying is that between 7:30 and 8:30 is probably your peak time. So that's, what we're saying is that 86 kids are going to be dropped off?
Assuming that none of them are sick and none of them are part-time. That is assuming that we're talking about full-time children, and that also includes siblings. So if there are 2 or 3 children into one car, it could mean, 30 cars as opposed to 43. And not to mention anybody that's on vacation, that's not coming in or coming out late, and all that good stuff.
I'm looking at the peak times, and I'm trying to reconcile that with when people are going to work, because I think the concern that staff has is the heavy traffic when people are leaving, because that's the only major thoroughfare to get to the apartments and to drop off your kids. I mean, there's going to be a lot of traffic going in that area. But Mr. Corcoran seems to, you're saying that not going to be an issue and it's going to be magic and there's going to be no backups or anything.
It's not magic, it's engineering, that's why I'm an engineer, but, no, I mean, again, we showed you the capacity analysis, a couple of slides, so we did take the concern seriously. I was concerned even before this got to staff, or that's why we suggested that first parking aisle be do not enter during the times. For that reason, Mike had that same kind of concern, but we think the numbers will work out.
Because personally, I think it's a good use for this area. You've got an apartment complex right in the building. You've got a train right there that stops right there, that somebody could even drop their kids off and walk there, drop their car off, walk over there, and from a use perspective, I like the use. I'm a bit concerned about the traffic, but the parking, you said between 20 and 24 employees, depending upon, what math we're using. If we're using the learning experience math, it's probably 24, but if us, it's probably 20. But anyway, where do we anticipate the employees parking? I mean, that's 24 spots.
Assuming they all drive.
Assuming they all drive, your employees.
Yes, some of them will drive, some of them will take public transportation, and some of them do Uber, so not all of them will have cars.
Really? Wow, okay.
I think even if they did all drive, if you look at the parking analysis, there's no concern with parking from 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. The only time that we reach a 90% capacity in the parking lot is Saturday evening at 8 p.m. And so this doesn't conflict with that.
But where I'm getting is that if you have 24 employees parking right in front of the building, your drop-offs are going to have a hard time possibly finding a place to park.
The staff are not allowed to park in the spots that are for parents and dropping off. They would have to park farther down, either like over here, but they're not allowed to park up where the parents are dropping off.
Is there going to be signage to that effect?
There's going to be training.
Training.
Like
so you have to train the parents.
We train the parents and we train the staff not to park in the front.
Okay.
And
Jim, we also have the top floor of the parking garage.
Right, I know that.
Resident with 100 parking
I was hoping you would mention that one.
Good
I was
job.
hoping you would mention it. I don't want to bring it up.
You knew the answer.
I knew the answer, but I wanted to hear it from you.
No leading witness.
Okay. So you're aware that at the top of the parking structure, there's employee parking up there?
I am now.
You am now, so. Okay.
It is available. I mean, the original thought of having the employee parking in the parking garage, was more so to alleviate that nighttime, evening, demand for all the restaurants and movie theater use. If it gets to a point that we see during the day, we need to have some of the employees from the learning experience park in the top floor of the parking deck. It's always available. So I think it's more of a management, once the town center is up and running and we have an opportunity to see, from Steve's calculations, what is a reality and how many employees need to go park in that parking deck to alleviate and provide parking in the surface parking lot, we'll be able to make that determination.
Okay. All right, cool. All right. Then you mentioned 6 weeks to 12, 8 years, 8 to 12 years, whatever that is. What is the preponderance? What's the average age?
The average age is probably going to be anywhere between 2 to preschool age, which would be 2 to 5.
Okay.
Just depending on whether or not we're having a baby boom or not. Sometimes there's more infants, but typically you see more 2 to 5-year-old children.
So do you cap that? I mean, do you say we can only have?
The state does cap the classrooms based on age,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
But the rooms are designed to hold the max capacity that the state will allow.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
There you can see the different rooms that are age specific.
We can't read that, but. Try to hard, okay, but thank you for that, that was interesting. So, and now the fence, is the color, you have the picket fence and then you have the fence around the play area. Is that the same material?
It's not, no.
No, okay, so could you describe each one of that?
The picket fence is a white metal, we call it, that's typical iron fence that you have in Chicago. And it is a standard that the learning experience provided us, and it does have the square top. And it's basically a security measure, so as the kids are walking around the perimeter and walking into their classrooms, they can't go anywhere else. And then the playground fence, which we can show you there, is a metal siding, which is used in different parts of the center. It's also up here. So we're trying to use this similar palette of materials in different locations, so it pulls it together. And I'm not sure where the photo is. So this is the metal siding, except it would be oriented vertically. Yeah. There. So it's pretty much what it would look like, and you can see here it's being used for a playground.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you. Right. Then my last overall question, Brad, and we talked about a couple of things, informing the valet company, hey, you can't park over here before 6:30 because they're still picking up, or even the employees for not only the learning experience, but for everybody else, that, okay, if there's not parking available, it's, up there. So how do those things get translated to the management company and then continue on ad infinitum as maybe we might have a new management company in there? What is that process? Is it all written down? And, your company is managing the construction and all that. My assumption is that once everything's done, it's probably going to be turned over to a different management company?
So the good thing about working with the Lindmark Group is that they are long-term holders.
Okay.
And so there's no plan to sell the asset, flip the asset, or bring in a new management company. The management company is going to be a sister company, part of the Lindmark Group, and we will be working with the valet staff and training them to make sure that nobody is parking in the quadrant drop-off pickup area for the learning experience, which I really don't see as a problem. We really only anticipated bringing in valet for Friday and Saturday evenings. So maybe at 6:30 when they're just kind of wrapping up with their last, pickup, then during that time, we would instruct valet not to park any vehicles in that area. The site plan is huge. We still have so many other areas that we can, right? We can have valet park all over here, up here, and up here. They don't even have to use this area down here. So.
Great.
Yeah, but that's closest to them, and that's what they'll use.
Yeah.
But that could be after 6:30 p.m. That could be after 7:00 p.m. and then maybe it becomes available. I really don't see there being much overlap because if you look at Steve's report, the peak doesn't really come until after 7:30. It's really like 7:38, 8:39, up until like 10 o'clock. That's kind of where you get to your high level of occupancy with regards to the parking area. So
And my last comment, and then I have one thing that I want to go to the board with, is that I think that granted, it's not this isn't a revenue generator sales tax, but to your point, I think that there's so much opportunity here for folks that are picking up their kids, especially at night, going, hey, honey, it's Friday night, let's both of us pick up the kids, let's go to the show, let's go out to dinner. I just think that there's so many opportunities there, and in the morning, hey, let's get a cup of coffee or get some breakfast, and I like the concept. I think based upon what I'm hearing, the traffic, we're going to be okay. But to that point, we have the question of, and I'm going to take a poll here, and I'm not sure. So I think Commissioner Creech had mentioned that we make this one way all the time, in this one and out that way all the time, for ease, for simplicity's sake. So I'm going to take a poll and ask if that is the direction that we want the petitioner to take. So Commissioner Creech?
Of course.
I thought you might say no, I don't know. Commissioner Kalis?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorban?
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
That's 3. Commissioner Blanova?
Yes, I think it would be okay.
Commissioner Powers?
Not necessary.
And I didn't think it was necessary either, but there are 4 to 3, so we need to explore that and make that permanently one way with appropriate signage to indicate that.
So we had proposed a sign that was going to say no left turn, and we would essentially just replace that with a do not enter.
Do not enter, and probably a one-way.
A stripe,
one-way
yeah, so
going
you
in.
see on the
Yep.
on the drive aisle, you see that there's an arrow pointing as if it's a one-way.
Yes.
Yes.
Right, yep. That's
And then probably a stop sign for those people coming out.
Yeah, you want a stop sign here,
Yep.
so
Yep.
people coming out
Right.
know that they have to stop for, actually, it should be a yield, because sometimes
Well,
when you
yeah,
see a
that's
stop
true.
sign, you assume the other person has a stop sign. And so if it's a yield.
Good point.
Then you
Right.
kind of know, like, you have to yield to that other traffic.
Yep.
But I agree, I think it's fine. I have no problem with that.
Any other comments?
Yeah, if I have just 1 second.
You got to lower your mic and
sorry.
speak louder.
The one more comment, like, let's not forget that our elementary school has another high score. And I think District 21, or whoever in District 21, they will have a great opportunity to go there, to learn, that for their kids to learn.
That's true.
I think it's going to be the best. I know for sure Buffalo Grove, they will be screaming. And Wheeling will be screaming.
Good.
I have a comment as well.
Yes.
I agree with that. I just don't think it fits with the vision of the town center, and I'm not trying to beat that dead horse. I wish that there was a study of the demand for the 3 to 5 mile study. You said it exists, you just don't know it offhand. Is that, okay. Because I just looked on a map and there's Lake Cook KinderCare, Children's Land, Pocoloco, Schoenbeck KinderCare, Mont Jardin, Child Care Learning. So there's things around. So I'm just curious if there's truly like an overwhelming demand for another one of these. And to go ahead.
I was just going to say that working with the learning experience these past few weeks, they are at the same level of professionalism as someone like Starbucks, who has hundreds of thousands of locations throughout the states. They're very well organized, very well prepared with all of their construction, build-out plans, specifications. I'm really impressed with their organization.
Great.
So I just wanted to let you know that I think it's a great company to be working with, and I'm really happy that they're part of the town center. I just wanted to let you know that.
I appreciate that, and I will restate that I love the idea of the Learning Center. I just personally don't think right there. But to your point, and Jim, Commissioner, Chairman, talked about the opposite side of the time frame of like picking up your kids and then going to get dinner. That makes a lot more sense to, with respect to what Brad said about dropping it. Like, I don't know if the parents dropping off their kids are all stay-at-home moms and they have the luxury of just going to grab a coffee and sit around, but I would assume that most of them are working parents that are dropping off the kid and going, not necessarily, and I can respect the need to increase traffic during the day, that makes sense, but I'm not sure I believe that parents dropping off their kids and saying, oh, I have nothing else to do, let me go grab some breakfast. So that is to be seen, and it's all assumptions at this point. If all the assumptions are true that we've discussed, that I've questioned, then this would be, in my eyes, a great use. I just personally feel that it could be a better use. With respect, and I completely appreciate the contract and the willingness to come in and the quality of the company. I'm not questioning it. I have a 5-year-old, and it would be a perfect spot for any child. I just, in urban-like, city-like, town center, it's a challenge for me, so that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, one last thing for Ron, actually. You okay with the fencing and there's enough exits out of that?
The only thing that we had was in our report, the fencing creates a corridor around the building, which the exits from the individual classrooms exit into. And there's a section in the building code for corridors that a door cannot reduce the width of a corridor by more than 50%. So if the doors are in fact 3-foot doors, which I suspect they are, that means the space within the fence has to be a minimum of 6 feet wide. And they're showing, I think one was 5'9" and the other was 5'5", but that's probably something that can be adjusted during the permitting process and take away some of the space from the sidewalk on the outside.
Okay, thanks, Ron.
We got one way, we got more room for the lane now.
We are aware of that. We've discussed that with the architectural team, and yes, we will make that adjustment to satisfy the Fire Bureau.
Okay.
Any other comments?
I got a question. The masonry samples, is that for color only?
These are the real colors.
Are they going to be modular? 2.5 by 4 by 8?
Those are the actual sizes of the units. Those are the actual bricks. They are also being used at the apartment building.
This one is not
Right.
Richfield, but we are using this in other buildings at the town center.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't aware of that. I thought it was all,
The ash blend is, I almost want to say it's on every building in the town center, in little areas.
I thought they were all the smaller size, though.
Yes. This is a utility brick, so it's a bigger
I
brick.
know what they are. I'm just saying, I thought the other ones were the modular.
You mean
4 by
the
4
blocks?
by 8 by 2.5.
Yes, we
And
have.
then the rest were the masonry block, but I wasn't aware of that size masonry on any of the other buildings.
We have the size specified on.
I
Yes,
thought that
but-
was specified on the,
The residential building has these bricks on them.
It does.
This size, not the blocks. The blocks are mostly used in the retail buildings, like City Works, for example, has
well,
blocks.
I know those are 8 by 16.
Right.
Okay. I wasn't aware that you were using those sizes.
And I did get an answer to your question after you toured. Those metal wall panels by Eisen are 20 gauge.
Really?
That's what I was told, yes.
The structural ones?
Yeah.
No, they're not.
That's what my GC told me.
20 gauge ain't structural, though. Your regular walls are 20 gauge.
That's what he told me when I asked him the question.
Really? Okay.
Okay.
Brooke, can you read the conditions?
Okay. Based on the discussion, I heard that there are 3 conditions. One, that bollards shall be added to the trash enclosure to prevent the gates from hitting vehicles. 2, EFIS shall not be installed at ground level. The ash blend brick shall be applied to this area no less than 4 feet from grade. And 3, the no left turn sign shall be replaced with one-way traffic signage. Appropriate pavement markings shall be installed.
Okay with that?
Yeah.
Braden? Okay, great. And you're coming back for signage and all those wonderful things. We're not approving signage.
Yeah, actually, I won't be the
Right.
petitioner for the signage. As with all of our tenants, they will handle their own petition for their own signage on the actual building.
Great, thank
But
you.
this at least gives you an idea of the signage that they plan to provide. So.
Great. So do I hear a motion on document number 2000?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I think it would be helpful if they brought some of that, more of that information that we're requesting from the petitioner for the board. Might help them.
The demand study? Like,
The demand study,
Yes.
right. Probably.
Might be helpful.
You want
Might
more
be
information
helpful.
as to why they chose to come to the Wheeling Town Center.
Exactly. What was?
What sort of
For
demand
the
they're
village,
having.
for the village meeting.
Okay,
I mean, we're still voting on this tonight, so.
no problem.
So do I hear a motion on docket number 2018-20?
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Dorban, and with the conditions read. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Dorban?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanova?
Yes.
Commissioner Creech?
Yes.
Commissioner Kalis?
no.
Commissioner Powers votes yes, and Chairman Rafato.
Yes. Motion to close.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm not sure I closed Karma Pub.
You did.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, wait, no, you didn't.
No, I didn't. Let's have a motion to close Karma Pub.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Brad, you'll have something to sign. Thank you, good luck.
No problem, thank you.
Thank you.
Luckily, I don't have to use that.
And no gaming terminals in the Learning Center.
What do you mean?
It's just a
But we are
front.
going to do karaoke.
But no bands. How about snakes?
Yeah, I heard that too. When he said, oh, we're going to have bags of snakes.
That would have been something.
What?
That's entertainment.
Nice job.
Thank you.
It's funny.
Yep. Yep. Sir. Moving on, do you need to take a break? No. Okay. Approval of minutes 2016, July 26, 2018.
I've got
Mr. Chairman,
got one correction.
I got a couple too.
Okay,
Go ahead.
all right, hold on, let Brooke write these down somewhere. What are the corrections? Commissioner Johnson?
On the 726 minutes, page 9, under docket 2018-17, it should read Commissioner Johnson moved. It says something else. Commended Johnson or something.
Sorry.
Page 9 of the
What should it
July
say?
20. It should say Commissioner Johnson.
And it says,
You got a different position?
Yeah, I got a different title.
Oh,
He's
the
not
title is-
commissioner,
Commend you.
something else.
I forget what it said now.
okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I emailed staff this morning with a couple of changes, and they're aware of them.
Okay. And do they have them?
Yes,
Great, okay.
they acknowledged it.
So we have a motion to approve the minutes with the correction stated?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Other business. Brooke, anything?
No.
No.
Commissioner Johnson?
Nothing, sir.
Commissioner Blanova?
Not gonna surprise you this time. Nothing.
Commissioner Powers?
I have nothing.
Commissioner Dorban?
Nothing, thank you.
Commissioner Kalis?
Nothing. Thank you.
And Commissioner Creech?
I have nothing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And I have nothing, I do.
Oh, yeah, you do.
Taste of
I'm sorry, I do. Taste of Wheeling is
yeah.
on the 27th. We are going to cancel that meeting. We had a number of people that want to attend that. More than it would create, we would not have a quorum, so we're going to cancel that meeting. Okay? And that's all I had. Mallory, anything?
Nothing.
Okay. So do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Dorban, second by Commissioner Powers. All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.